What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Eagles rundown, and this is a big one, probably one of the bigger ones we've done on the channel. It's the Eagles versus Rams Divisional Round rundown. Now, this is going to be a big game. The Eagles have a big test coming up against the Los Angeles Rams, who just came off a convincing win against the Minnesota Vikings, but I don't think that's anything to worry about. So let's just hop right into the rundown. So I got a lot of talking points for this game. So the first thought I have is about the weather. Now, Philly's supposed to get about 4 inches of snow in this game. And throughout the day, it's going to be snowing all game. So this weather is going to be a real benefit to the Eagles. So the Los Angeles Rams, obviously they play in LA. They're not used to this kind of cold weather. They're not used to the snow. They're not even used to the rain. So, and they also play in a dome. So these factors are also going to help the Eagles in terms of just the Rams not being good enough to compete in this weather. Matt Stafford is 1-8 in games where it's been poor weather conditions like rain or snow, and I know he played a lot of his career in Detroit, but that's not going to help him here because he played in a dome there. He played in a dome his whole career. So he's coming to Philly. It's going to be really snowy. It's going to be really wet, and it's going to be freezing cold. I think it said wind chills are around 14 degrees tomorrow, and that's going to be freezing. So it's just not a good look for the Rams coming into Sunday. They got guys that are really good, but I think that this weather is going to really hurt them, especially if they practice for this whole game in warm weather conditions, and they're not going to have that in Philly. So the Eagles have been practicing all week it was snowed earlier this week, and it's been freezing all week, so they've been able to practice in these types of conditions. But so let's just get right into the key players on the Eagles side. So we got Saquon Barkley as my number one key player, just because obviously Saquon Barkley had one of the best running back seasons we've seen in a long time, probably since Adrian Peterson's MVP season back in 2012. Saquon Barkley ran for over 2,000 yards, and I expect him to have another great game here today against the Rams in crazy bad conditions. We know Shady McCoy had his crazy snow game where he rushed for 217 yards back in 2013, coincidentally against Matt Stafford and the Rams. The Eagles obviously went on to win that game, and it's known as the Snow Bowl, one of the most memorable Snow Bowls that the Eagles played in, and this is the chance to be another one, especially, and this has more... on the line as it's a playoff game. So Saquon Barkley is definitely going to be a big factor. The Eagles' offensive line, some of them got snubbed out for not Pro Bowl honors, all pro honors. So they're going to be really mad coming into this game, and they're going to be wanting to protect Barkley, especially in a heavy running game with this weather. So Barkley, obviously, I think he could run for 200 yards in this game. And last time against the Rams, he ran for over 250 yards. I think it was 260 something, but I could be wrong. And I think he had like 330 yards of scrimmage total. Both are all-time records for the Eagles. So Saquon Barkley, you are going to get the ball a lot. And you just be better prepared to be running behind that O-line. Just don't fumble the ball. He hasn't fumbled a lot this year, so I trust Barkley with the rock. He's been doing it all season. I think he's going to do it again in this game. Now, the duo of Zach Bond and Jeremiah Trotter are going to be vital in getting the win this week. So Zach, obviously, Nakobe Dean is out with a patella injury. He tore it back against the Packers, and he'll be out for the remainder of the playoffs and going into next season even. So that's a terrible injury for Nakobe Dean, and we really hope he gets better from that. But Zach Baum, he has the green dot now. He's the one calling the plays. He's the middle linebacker for this team, and his new starter is most likely going to be Jeremiah Trotter. They're going to be working alongside each other. Now, Oren Burks is going to come in a lot during the game. It's not just going to be Jeremiah Trotter, but I think that Vic Fangio is going to rely on Jeremiah Trotter a lot more just because Oren Burks, he's been missing a lot of tackles, not something we want in the playoff game, and you can't miss tackles in these snowy conditions. So I think Jeremiah Trotter, with his speed and his ability to tackle well, is going to be really big for this game. So I think he gets the start, and he gets the bulk of the playing time as the second linebacker spot. But Zach Bond, he's going to have to command this defense pretty well. It's being the middle linebacker. It's a big thing. I mean, I played middle linebacker in high school, and calling you got to make sure everyone's in line. There's a big responsibility, and so Zach Bond, I really hope that he prepared himself well to take Nakobe Dean's spot in that, and I think he can do it. I think Zach Bond's a really good leader, and he will command this defense very well. But those two need to be on point with each other. They need to be rocking and rolling coming into Sunday. Now, Quinion Mitchell's also another big guy that I really want to look at. So Mitchell, He's most likely going to lose the Defensive Rookie of the Year honors to Jared Verse, who he'll be playing against in this game. Obviously, they both play on defense, so they won't be playing against each other. But this can be a good, even though the awards are already in, and he doesn't. This game won't help his chances. He can make a statement to the rest of the league that he is better than Jared Verse. So I think that this game personally means more to him. So he's got to do a good job of locking down the top wide receivers of the Rams in Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. It's going to be a tough battle. He did good last time against the Rams, but it's got to be a tight. I think there's a chance that he has another game like he did against Terry McLaurin in Washington at Philly, because that he was locked down that game. And if he's locks again in this game, especially with the snow, I think if he can just cut off Puka Nacua, that will eliminate a big part of the Rams' offense, especially in the snow. I just don't think that Puka Nacua is going to get as many targets, as many chances and opportunities. So if Quinion Mitchell shuts him down, we're looking really good in this game. Now, my final key player for the Eagles that I really want to just focus in on is Jalen Hurts. Now, Hurts has been getting so much hate, and I'll talk about this later in the rundown, but Hurts has a lot to prove in this game, and he's going to need to do his best to stay in this game, not turn the ball over. Not turning the ball over is the biggest thing. He did not do that against the Packers. He threw no interceptions, and he didn't fumble the ball. So if we can just do that, I think the Eagles will win this game. 0 turnovers by Jalen Hurts, and we will win this game. I don't think there's a world where Jalen Hurts has 0 turnovers and we lose. It just doesn't make sense, because when he doesn't turn the ball over, this offense works very effectively, and the game's in his hands. If he plays well, the Eagles will win. But if he has a bad game and starts turning the ball over, it gets a little shaky. He's going to need to do well throwing to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. You know, A.J. Brown he only got 1 reception last game. So he's probably going to look to get the ball more. And Devontae Smith had a good game. But overall, the passing game just wasn't really there against the Packers, which wasn't a problem because the running game was good and the defense was great. But you don't expect too much more in the weather conditions that we're going to see on Sunday. But you want Jalen Hurts to have an improvement of his game against Packers and shut up these haters. But I'll talk about the haters later in the video. So now going to Rams side, Matthew Stafford. He is not a good cold weather quarterback. And I know, he played in Detroit. He played in Detroit and the NFC North for most of his career, but he's 1-8 in these poor weather condition games. That's a factor. And I know people are saying, "Oh, he's 5-1. He's 5-1 in the playoffs." With the Rams, that means nothing when you're playing in cold weather. I think everything gets thrown out of the window when you're playing in cold weather. The Eagles have experienced guys who played in these conditions, played in these terrible conditions from a lot of their career. And then you got Matt Stafford, who is terrible in these games, and he is the signal play caller. So the last bad condition game he had was against the 49ers on one of the Thursday Night Football games towards the end of the year, and the Rams had one of the poorest games I think I've ever seen. It was like a 12-6 victory over the 49ers. It was terrible. It was rainy, and there was no offense the entire game. It was terrible. So if we can get another effort like that by Matthew Stafford, then it's not looking good for the Rams. But I don't think he's going to play as poor as he did in that game. I think that he's still going to come out and command this Rams offense. But the Eagles defense, I think they have a chance to shut them out pretty good. Now, Puka Nacua is another big guy that is really vital to this Rams offense. He was a late round pick last year. He won. He was crazy last year in his rookie season, and coming in the second season, he's still continuing right where he left off. And Quinion Mitchell is tasked to shut him down. Him and Darius Slay, they have to do a good job of quieting him and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp he's only gotten 2 receptions, I think, in his last 2 games, which is not really good for him, but it's good for the Eagles as they won't have to worry about as much. But you still have to account for Cooper Kupp. He's still a great wide receiver, and obviously not like his Triple Crown self a few years ago, back in 2021. But he's still Cooper Kupp, and you always have to account for him. Puka Nacua is obviously the wide receiver 1 in LA now, but you just have to. The Eagles have to do a good job. They have to play man, and they have to make sure they do their assignment. If they do their assignment, if they don't, like I know Quinion Mitchell had a couple kind of bad reads and missed assignments. A couple, like one against Washington against Terry McLaurin, he had a bad read, and so if we just limit that against the Rams, I think we'll be fine. They're not going to be able to get a lot of throws down with this weather, so I think we'll be perfectly fine with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp on the other side. Now, Jared Verse and the D-line, they're really good. The Rams D-line got 9 sacks against the Vikings. I think that ties most sacks in a playoff game of all time. I think it ties it. So the Rams D-line is really good. They got Braden Fisk. They got a whole D-line that is just monsters. They're crazy. They're insane. I really don't know what else I can say about this Rams D-line. They're just amazing. But that being said, the Eagles' offensive line is insane too. The Vikings' offensive line is all right, but the Eagles have, in my opinion, the best offensive line in the National Football League. So I think they can limit the attack of this Rams pass rush, and their run defense. They need to do a good job in blocking, and I think they will do just that. And Jared Verse, I'll talk about his comments in a little bit, but so he's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year against Defensive Rookie of the Year against Quinion Mitchell. So he's also going to be looking to prove something here, showing that he is the best defensive rookie in the NFL. Now, Ahkello Witherspoon, he's questionable for this game. They're not sure if he's going to play. He's most likely going to play, but I think he was out of practice at some point this week, and he's their starting corner. If they lose, like the Packers, they were out Jair Alexander, and you see how much that hurt them, especially against a weak Eagles passing game that last week. So if they're out Ahkello Witherspoon, then the Rams are going to be in trouble, because A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are no sleeper. They're two of the better wide receivers in this game. I think A.J. Brown's a top, maybe I would say top 2 wide receiver. Not top 2. I would say he's a top 3, top 4 wide receiver in this game. Just because you got Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I would say A.J. Brown's up there. He's top 5, 100%. He's top 5 in the game. So you have to account for, if Ahkello Witherspoon's out, you want to get A.J. Brown the ball more. So just keep an eye on his status going forward. I'll be sure looking at that over tonight and into tomorrow morning. Now, we'll go to Jared Verse's comments real quick. So Jared Verse publicly stated that he hates Eagles fans. This is his rookie year, and he's already said he hates Eagles fans. He hates everything about them. And I think that's just the fuel that the Eagles fans need. The Eagles fans are crazy, and they'll do anything to find an edge over their opponent. And I think that Jared Verse's comments gave them just that. There's going to be signs at this game calling for Jared Verse's comments, and they're going to be giving him hell in this game. So I think that just puts some fuel in the fire for these Eagles fans, and I think the Eagles are going to back up their fans pretty well, and I think they're going to try their best to limit Verse's pass attack, and yeah, I think that the Eagles' offensive line could do this. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata. I know Jordan Mailata did get blown up on a play against the Rams, against Jared Verse and the Rams back in Week 12. But I think that him and Lane Johnson will do a good job in kind of keeping him quiet in this game. Maybe not keeping him quiet, but keeping him limited. Now, before I end the video, I want to talk about the Jalen Hurts hate. Jalen Hurts has gotten so much hate over these last couple of years. People just don't like him, and that's not going to change. They did similar things to Lamar. Now Lamar is getting a little bit more respect. Nobody is ever going to give Jalen Hurts the respect he deserves. He's a hated quarterback in this league just for the fact that I don't know if it's the fact that he plays on the Eagles or that he's more of a mobile quarterback, but people just don't like him. So he got more criticism, I think, from his game against the Packers than I saw Justin. Well, not as maybe much as Justin Herbert, but C.J. Stroud didn't really have a good game. I don't see him, but he got the win. He did enough to get the win. He did enough to put points on the board and get the win against the Chargers. C.J. Stroud didn't really get much hate. And then guys like Justin Herbert and Jordan Love, who combined for 7 interceptions, got similar hate as Jalen Hurts did, and Jalen Hurts threw 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Yeah, he doesn't light up the stat board. Jalen Hurts and he admitted this, he's not playing for stats. I don't understand why people look at stats so much. The Eagles are a team. They're not individual guys that are put together to try to get wins. They're a team that tries to get wins. And Saquon Barkley says this all the time. Jalen Hurts says this all the time, that they don't play for the stats. They play to get the win. I think that is what confuses a lot of people, a lot of these fair weather fans, and even the media. These analysts are terrible. ESPN, they're garbage. Fox Sports, they got some garbage analysis. They just don't know what they're talking about. All they look at is the stats. The stats don't show the full story. Jalen Hurts, yeah, he didn't have his best game against the Packers, but he's nowhere near as bad as people are giving him credit for. He did enough to win. He did not turn the ball over. It was a freezing cold game, so yeah, it's already going to be tough to pass the ball. He did not turn the ball over. He still threw for 130 yards. Yeah, that's not great, but I would rather him. He was like 13 for 21. That's 8 incompletions. That's not terrible. Then he didn't turn the ball over, threw for 2 touchdowns. That's putting points on the board, and not turning the ball over is keeping points off the board for the Packers. And then, yeah, 130 yards. I just don't understand why people look so much at the yard total or look at throwing 5 touchdowns. It doesn't matter when you're doing enough to get the win. We also have we have the best running back in the NFL and the best offensive line in the NFL. So why not give them the ball? Hurts knows that he doesn't have to be that guy, the guy that throws for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. He just has to be the guy to do enough to get the win. And he could. They saw it against the Steelers. He threw for 295 yards, and in the fourth quarter, we basically ran the whole time. He threw for 295 yards and had a great game against the Steelers after he got so much criticism. He knows what he can do, and he knows what he can accomplish. I know he can throw for 300 yards, but he doesn't have to be that quarterback. We have a good enough team where we can run the ball. So I just don't understand all the Jalen Hurts hate, and he's going to keep getting that hate through the playoffs. So I hope he really proves these doubters wrong tomorrow on Sunday. But that's really going to do it for this Eagles. Oh, before I end the video, I'm going to give you guys my predictions. I'm looking at the Eagles winning this game. It's going to be, I don't think it's going to be as close as people think. I think it's going to be a 2-score win by the Eagles. I'm going to go with a 20. Man, this is tough. This is a tough prediction because I don't know how much they're going to score in this. I'm going to go 28-17. 28-17 Eagles. I think I'm giving the Rams a little too much credit on offense to be able to put up 17 points in the snow. But you guys can prove me wrong in the comments, and we'll see the actual result tomorrow. So make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe so you don't miss any of my Eagles content coming up. Also, any of my Sixers, Flyers, and Phillies, whatever I'm doing coming up. And yeah, let's get ready to watch the Eagles play tomorrow, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.